Hello and welcome back to the Greenhorn Photo Taker. I am hiking to Hackers Falls on an overcast Wednesday evening, and I hope to capture the falls in a way that I've not done before. So I've been to Hackers Falls several times over the years, and it's been a vlog on this channel at least once, but I've never been for photography in the spring or summer. I've only been here at peak fall foliage, and I recall one time in the dead of winter hoping to capture some fresh snow on the surrounding areas of the falls. So I'm really interested to see what Hackers Falls looks like in the spring. And I guess two other reasons why I want to try this again. And sorry, I'm looking down, there's many rocks. I've really grown as a photo taker over the past 12 to 18 months. And I know I can do better than I've done before at this location. I definitely got lazy in the past with some of the composition work. And then three, what I found, like the new camera is definitely reinvigorating me for how to, take shots. I'm starting to learn it more and more. And the true 16mm wide angle lens is a unique perspective that I never had until very recently. So I find myself using that more and more, really to test it out. I'm sure I'll go away from it to maybe more traditional shots. But for now, shooting with the 16mm really just provides a view, a compositional view that I've not really seen before in my own work. So it still feels new and unique. So those three things have me out here after work on a Wednesday. And while I'm walking, I figured I'd talk about two other topics, gear related. I've wanted to make a video on this, but it doesn't seem important enough to ever do it. The two pieces of gear that I really can't live without. The first one is my Sony Link Buds earbuds. Now, I mostly listen to audiobooks or podcasts. I'm not listening to music much. What I like about these Link Buds is there's a hole in them that allows ambient noises to come through. So if you need noise canceling earbuds, these are not for you. If you like to hike, if you like to be on trail, these are incredible because you can hear a hiker or a biker approaching you from the rear and not get run over or scared. And more importantly, especially this season in New Jersey, you can hear noises in the brush and woods around you. The bears are extremely active. There was one video of a group of 6 walking through a residential area. And it was kind of crazy to see, and I have seen them on trail this season. So just having the ability to listen to, something on my phone and have the ability to hear ambient sounds is really important. So if you're a hiker, I highly recommend them. And the second gear that I can't live without is my fluid video tripod head. Now I've used ball heads for most of my career. I say career. I'm a photo taker, I have no career. I've used ball heads for most of my journey, and that's mainly because I'm so lazy in the field. I don't actually want to spend the time, balancing it horizontally and vertically, the tripod legs. With a ball head, you could very easily have your tripod a little off kilter and then still keep your camera dead on center. However, that does not work great for video, right? Sure, you can have a static video shot with your tripod legs a little off, but the minute you want to pan around somewhere, it would cause a vertical or horizontal tilt to your camera, and you just can't pan. So the video head, one, is great for video, and two, it kind of forces me to set the tripod legs accurately. And then of course, while I'm out at a location, I can take a photo and take B-roll in the same vantage point And the video head I just find so much smoother to use when I'm doing photo and video. And since I don't record myself on a real camera, I use the GoPro. It becomes very simple for me just to have one tripod, one camera. It's kind of what the A7 IV was built for. I'm learning that more and more. And we are fast approaching the falls. I can hear them roaring. Let's see if any people are about. I took a bad spill last week. You would think I wouldn't be trouncing around a slippery rock river, but I can't help myself. There's dead brush in this composition. So this is the classic composition for a Hacker's Fall shot, but it's classic for a reason. The waterfall is straight on with a cascade in the foreground, the falls in the background, and this great bowl around the falls. So at least I'll start as that as my main composition and then try something new afterwards. Definitely worried about accidentally kicking my tripod down into the cascade and never getting it back. My first shot at Hacker's Falls was a success. I think three things come to mind that I like about the photo. The first is the wavy, wispy foreground with these two horizontal lines really taking up much of the bottom portion of the photo. If you look closely, there are some wisps and curvy lines that are just fun to look at and see where the current was taking the water on this day. The second one, and less noticeable, are the vines creeping up the wall. I don't want to call it a cliff, but I always refer to it as a bowl, but the edge of the bowl on the left. Those are pretty cool too, a nice little touch, and I definitely wanted to include them in the composition. And then third, the falls themselves were really perfect for long exposure on this day. I was worried it was flowing too fast and I wouldn't be able to have that effect where you can see the individual strands cascading down, but it certainly worked. So overall, very satisfied with this photo. It would probably be even better in the fall. Really, it's just two tones here, green shadows plus the white water. But overall, very satisfied, happy to have come here on this day. Now I want to try another shot really close to the ground, really close to these rocks here in front of me, and see if I can get a little bit of a more unique and different perspective of the falls. Not a perfect foreground, but it's better than just water. One of my bad habits is also not paying attention to composition as much in awkward physical situations like this, right? I'm hunched over, I'm a little crinked, so I'm not spending as much time on the corners as I should. So I'm going to spend a minute and really dial this one in. As you saw, this second shot is from a closer vantage point, and I also like it, maybe even a little bit more. I think it's less of a landscape photo,
because while there is a foreground, midground, and background, I don't know, it just seems more of a snapshot because it's the focus of the falls and really not much else. But, however, the closer you look, the more excited maybe you'll get about the photo. So, of course, the falls are flowing exquisitely. Totally love and that vibe of those individual strands really came through here, even better than on the first photo because I'm so much closer here. But then if you look around the frame, you'll see those vines again, those green vines right above the falls. Those are pretty excellent. In the foreground, not much to talk about. Certainly a rock formation that is better than just having the water. So it just lends the eye maybe a little bit of a focal point to help lead you into the falls. And then the one area of warm glowing light in the top right, I saw that in the back of the camera. Definitely wanted to make sure I snapped it. The one thing I don't love are those two logs right above that area. It probably distracts it, and I only kept them in because I like that highlighted glowing spot. So overall, I think this one is also a success, even though maybe not quite as much as a landscape photo as the first.
So that was quite lovely. I think I may have actually done Hackers Falls a little justice. I'm running low on daylight, but I did want to check one more section of the Raymondskill Creek area. I visited it once. Hopefully I can find it again. Hopefully it's close. It's just a little side trail that goes down to the river where it's flowing extremely fast on a slope, and it looks like it's over some bedrock instead of your normal, river pebble base underneath the falls. And I've always wanted to try to capture some slow motion footage of that. So maybe we'll get lucky. So over the years, I think Cliff Park has just gained so much respect in my mind for its beauty. And it has to be my favorite section of the Delaware Water Gap. It used to be Crater Lake. I don't know if I can really live with that moniker anymore. If you think about it, Cliff Park has the Hackers Falls we just saw, this beautiful ravine section that I don't often frequent. This is only my second time here. It has that wonderful foggy greatness of the view over the Delaware, for the actual ledges, the Milford ledges that it's famous for, and it has Raymondskill Falls. Really, it's got to be, for such a narrow square mileage area, it has to be one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful, in a 30-mile radius of where I live. And obviously much wider than that. It's just wonderful here. Now, a few things stand out for a photo. I love this area here. You can see with the ledge, a little bit of a cascade here, and much wider, longer cascade here. And there's some swirling action going on in this area that would lend very nicely to a long exposure. Yeah, you can see it down here too. The main flow comes down this way, but then within that current, there's a loop. I think that'll look nice. You can see how fast the flow is on the top ridge as it scoots right down the bedrock. And this view, I think, is nice as well. More cascade, and then this rock feature that almost looks like a pillar. I don't know if it's coming through on the GoPro, but you have this I guess it's sandstone, very narrow sandstone formation jutting out here, and then it goes back into this little crevice that's dark, maybe 15 feet before then coming out of this ledge. So that's a pretty cool feature as well. I don't think it'll lend well to a photograph, but pretty darn cool to see. And even all these trees coming right out of the ledge as well. Pretty cool. And finally, the view up the creek is pretty cool.
But as of now, we have this big log that is falling over, I guess, off the cliff. So I don't really know of a way to get that out of the composition. So maybe in future years, when that finally falls, it'll be on the riverbed for another year or two, and then 1 year after a big storm, it'll get washed down, I'm sure. So I think for today, can you see that woodpecker? I don't have my wildlife lens, but that's a woodpecker. I think for today, maybe some quick B-roll because it is getting dark. And then I'll try to get a swirl here, but I know in my heart that's going to be much better in the autumn yellows and oranges. Okay, that'll do it for me. I have no headlamp. It is getting dark. I've got texts from my wife asking me if I'm back to the trailhead yet. So we are going to call it a day. That last location, I'm not quite sure I did it justice. It's wonderful, it's beautiful. In the dark light with high ISOs, I'm sure there are some problems with the images. Just will give me a reason to return if I have to. In terms of the photographs there, I did take out the tripod for one, that swirl. On the back of camera, wasn't pleased, but you never know how the image turns out. So here it is now. And finally, the last one is unfortunately a bit of a mess. I guess I couldn't find a focal point, and that's what detracts from this shot. I loved the streams of the water in the pool area, but I also wanted to capture the incoming flow from the right-hand side of the screen, and I probably should have just focused on one. Because when you combine the two, along with a fairly muddled background, man, there's just something off about it. Maybe it is just too many areas of focus. Either way, I'll come back here one day and try to improve upon this shot. And the flow of the water in the wading pool or in the pool definitely didn't swirl as I was hoping it would. You can see a little bit of the wisps in trying to create a more circular movement, but it's definitely overpowered by the current of the stream flowing from the right to the left. Thank you so very much for watching. Get out and explore.